Hello and welcome back to Strange Hungers. You thought we'd left, but we didn't.
Surprise, bitch.
Surprise, bitch. Now, I'm so glad that I have written down all the names of these characters, because they're all here. The image shimmers into focus, and the din of people fishing for tubers in their stew and excitedly enjoying their drinks kind of softens a little bit as each of your sending figurines also kind of vibrate and connect in for better surround sound audio.
Oh, fuck yeah.
On here. And most of them look at you expectantly. It seems like the two Arnold Barin characters are like bouncing up and down a little bit, like maybe they're in a cart or like riding somewhere or traveling or something.
They're dialing in from the road.
The cloud mage elf also seems like not as connected. Like she keeps kind of turning her head and saying something that you guys can't hear, and then like looking back.
God fucking Christ, I've been on this conference call before and I hate it. This is triggering. Matthias pulls out his journal and unwraps it and opens it and is just going to start giving them a full rundown of everything that's happened so far.
Sir Silvercar stops you for a second. Valerian, it is good to see most of your faces. Have you all made it safely on your journey?
Yes, all of us have made it safely. You might not see all of us here, but we are all here. If not on this call.
Okay. We are excited to hear some of your explorations, but have news for you, Expedition, as well.
Would you like to hear what we've done so far first, or should we start with the news?
Black Lotus Wren says, I think we should start. As I have recently reported to the rest of Fulcrum, there has been an incursion.
Of what nature?
Something otherworldly, certainly wild in origin. An entire town has disappeared.
What do you mean disappeared?
There are no signs of struggle, no fires, no torn buildings, no mangled corpses. Simply one of our brother towns where some of our members are from. Matthias, you would know. This is Lookdown. It's a small town, maybe 60 people. Like it's just an outpost, right? Called Lookdown. Lookdown is just deeper into the wastes. Mostly like ice. What are they called? Ice buildings.
Igloos?
Igloos, mostly igloos.
And everything is
Gone.
everything is gone?
Everything is gone.
No signs of tracks or...
No, not a single marking. This is made more difficult, of course, by this simply being an outpost, but it's not nomadic. I would assume some kind of continental shift, but we've looked into it and no trace.
Has this happened in other places?
We have knights going missing, as usual numbers. No dramatic disappearances, no other reports. And then Nomi steps in a little bit and says, part of the reason that this is so interesting to us is that normally wild things tend to be about appearances, monsters, undead, storms, etc. Certainly, things getting lost might be connected more to manifestations in the Weird Sea. That is common, ships going missing. But with the arrival of more pirates, it is difficult to track if that is purely of a supernatural nature or just an economic factor. But a whole town going missing. Valkyrie is less populous than Abjur. And then there's a few chimed in remarks about, well, the population in Wanabara is just as at risk as anywhere else. People discussing a little bit how bad it would be if people started to go missing, and then the connection kind of bubbles for a second, and Siren says, no matter where these disappearances happen, as I had remarked to you previously, Expedition, rising waters, and incursions into Skyhome from Valkyrie have become a more present danger. With Skyhome and the Paralian coast as the closest connections to the wastelands, it is essential that we determine if this is something that would spread to the mainland.
I turn to look at everybody else and just ask questions. Anybody?
Has anything like this ever happened before?
Do I need to repeat that, or are they dialed in?
They're dialed in. Everyone's dialed in. They can't see you, but they can hear them. Siren kind of waits for a second to see if any of the other leaders have information. And then, Mirthbane speaks up. Vernal, this mage, who is a member of the Dever Arcane Alliance, which is a Abjurian-based magical group, but not purely working for the interests of the Empire. It's just like a mages group, right? Certainly the Ungekwan is known for those kinds of disappearances. I'm sure we all know that.
I think Taz visibly, tenses up at the mention of that.
Mm-hmm. That's been happening for a while. Some of the swampland in Abjuria Abjur also known for people disappearing, but the corpses usually do turn up. And Merle, have you noted any reappearances of the sinking epidemic in recent years? And the Naga chimes in. We have, at times, lost settlements and tribe members to a weakness in the geography. But as far as I know, not for at least 70 years.
So, what you're saying is any previous occurrences of this have an explanation and this one doesn't?
So far.
The ground of Valkyrie is frozen solid. It's not uncommon that something would get swallowed up by the earth, but it would leave behind evidence, a fissure or larger.
Rhyme kind of sits up, but not close to the screen, and covers his mouth. And is there any residue or anything magical or anything like that? Has there been anyone on the ground to actually check it?
We have sent some knights out, of course, but this is a recent event. Must be within the last week or so. And knowing, Fulcrum, that you would be in the area, I thought it prudent that, led by Valerian, you would be the first to directly investigate.
Understandable, but are we certain it's wild? It could be, I don't know, could be demonic. It could be fiendish. Is there nothing that people notice?
Consider, and then Siren kind of says, very sweetly, remember, Barton, that to many people, demonic, fiendish, and wild have no distinction. That's why you are one of the most qualified people to determine it for.
I think if anyone can see under Rhyme's hand, there is like a little smile, just like a.
All right.
Out of curiosity, had we not called you, would you have called us?
We were waiting for notice from Ren that you had arrived at the Order.
How did Ren know?
Well, we called them.
Yeah.
Ren would have known because the first thing that Matthias would do when they arrived would be to go and report to her.
Also,
Yeah.
Rhyme is pulling out the
She.
map that they have and is pushing it towards Matthias and just being like on the map, just put it down because you know where
to circle
is.
where the thing is.
Yeah.
I was about to ask Alex, where is Look Down? Is it on the way to the Order or is it
Not on the
past?
way to the Order, past the Order.
Okay, so he'll circle where it is. I think that he doesn't really tend to put markings on a map as to where the Order is, so he doesn't make any indicator as to where that goes, but rather just like draws an
Just
arrow.
look down.
And Look Down is small enough, it wouldn't be on a map. It's like a town outpost.
Yeah,
It's
it's
that on it?
general area though.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarah. What'd you say?
No, I was just. Go ahead.
Okay. Is that all the news that you have?
Siren, I have reported to the rest of Fulcrum that difficulties with the Tomb Loft have occupied much of my attention. I seem to have stabilized it for now. Certainly, there are normal reports across the continent of manifestations, but this seems to be our most present concern, at least an area to start. I, as a researcher and archaeologist, am interested in histories, ruins, what you can uncover within Valkyrie. It is known to have a number of preserved relics and ruins that could be a source of historical knowledge. And then Dorian chimes in. But more
Dorian?
recent.
Not my Dorian, different Dorian.
Different Dorian.
Oh, okay, sorry. Just double check.
Sometimes people have the same name.
No.
I am so sorry.
They're not allowed.
It's Doran. Sorry, it's not Dorian. It's Doran.
Duran.
Oh, I love that band.
Duran.
Duran.
Are you hungry like the wolf?
Ow!
He'll never get peace.
Doran lesbian, not Dorian gay.
Thank you. Very important distinction.
Doran, who I believe is the gnome, adds recent technological tools that members of Valkyrie traveling and nomadic groups have been using to fight back wild beasts. Any methods that they use would also be very important for us to gather information on. Valkyrie is a source of community knowledge, oral history, but it is not well recorded. So if any Korean folk are willing to share their wild prevention methods, let them know. We will compensate them for their time, and of course, Fulcrum, we will be sending you additional funds as needed.
Thank you.
The difficulties in the Tomb Loft and the other wild occurrences across the lands, do they have any similarities or time correspondence to what has happened here?
There's another kind of pause, and then some conference, I will say, and Morgan, Virtus, Plutarch Morgan, chimes up, speaks up for the first time here. We have been tracking patterns in the wild for decades. And although we've seen pushes and pulls, the patterns are incredibly elusive. Suffice it to say that with a great loss of life, with what I would consider a lost battle, we see forces emerge stronger. As people fall, more undead rise. As the presence of dark magic swells, necromancers turn their support. Cults arise around the charismatic infiltration of a demonic or fiendish character. The Underdark peeks through in the aftermath of an earthquake caused by a mad giant. The worse it gets, the worse it gets.
Matthias is like writing in his notebook, and I think without even really looking up, trying to keep it cool and chill is just like, and is there anything else that you haven't told us yet?
Give me a persuasion check.
Okay.
But I am going to have you take advantage on this because you are supported by the rest of your expedition.
I got my friend around me. Oh, that was
Fine.
really good. I rolled a 19. Hold on.
Oop.
No, that was a 4. But it was a 19 plus 3, which is a 22.
That's pretty good.
I'm
Renata.
charismatic. I'm a paladin.
Yeah.
Good.
Handsome boy.
This seems like the perfect moment to have asked it. Immediately coming off of what Plutarch Morgan had said, there's like that kind of pin drop worry moment, and as you ask your question, all of them who are like even engaging in other activities kind of focus and look, and out of this fragrant cauldron, there is sort of a chatter. Like someone starts talking and you're not sure who it is, and then someone kind of talks over them, and then Nomi says very simply, a squadron of fire knights has attempted a burning on the edge of the wood. We lost 70 men in the course of an afternoon.
They attempted a burning.
Yes. This is a common practice when the forest seems petulant, not part of our annual round. But the force that emerged in response was more angry than anticipated. That is a private military briefing, you will understand. And he kind of looks to the side, merely that is not to be shared with other Asli. And you know that there are border conflicts between Bajau and Abjur, so the loss of a squadron would be useful information.
Where was this?
Points out on a map. This would be
Screen share?
yeah. Probably closer to the border with Bajau, so like higher up towards the west.
That is
It would be that map.
helpful information to have.
And then someone else speaks up. This is Yokor, Thirnsbish, the Archmage of the Cloud Court, and they say, more storms. It is not the season. And then a few more of them kind of chime in with more hesitancy because they're talking about things that seem to directly threaten are more threatening to their countries, but you generally hear that there has been a disproportionate response to usual efforts that hold back the wild.
Ooh.
Meaning, usually putting some effort towards things. Like different countries have their methods of management, but it seems like some of these forces are a little touchier than usual.
And what is Skyholm?
There has been rumor that long extinct creatures have been seen again.
Creatures.
Blood leeches. Moonwalkers.
Do I know what those are?
Vampires and werewolves.
But not grey, I suppose.
Have been seen.
Just rumors.
Just rumors.
People in Skyholm know how to deal with that. We've got stories.
There's a clove of garlic hung over every threshold. People believe in the old ways. But still. There is a notable, I think it stands out probably to Kiara and Matthias. There is a notable lack of any particularly religious person in Fulcrum. This is a academic group in many ways. So, I'm just going to kind of highlight to you guys that you have seen over the course of your adventures connections between gods and the wild, right? Like you have seen things that relate to old gods connecting to monstrosities. And no one here has mentioned anything like that.
Is it okay? So it's just Kiara and Matthias that
I mean, I point them out as a cleric and a paladin.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that no one else would notice it. It's just like
Like you're saying that, just want to get some clarity, that they're not mentioning it probably because they don't have the experience to connect it, or as in like these are not related to these gods.
They might not think it's related to the gods, is what I'm gathering it.
Yeah.
They
They're
believe
like,
it's
there should be a
science-based.
rational explanation for this.
Possibly.
Like, they're not reaching for gods as a reason for stuff.
Sure.
As much as we would.
Yes.
The old gods, though.
Well, the way that this group of people, and again, like, Siren has more of a unique experience. The old gods are much less significant to many people than they are in this campaign, because I've made them more prevalent, right? But the divine triad is more of like a Mother Earth kind of consideration. So it would be like someone saying in this meeting, like, why is climate change happening? And you go, Mother Earth's mad at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason that I make the distinction is
Literally
that
what I said in the
watched
chat.
I watched some old episodes, and there's some information that I didn't remember a Wish had that they do.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
Listen,
not
I
gonna
don't
speak
say, the information you guys have collectively as a party, you've all experienced it. So it's not to say that no one would make the connection. It's just, I think the most notable lack of information, given what you've been through.
Yeah.
Alex, I have a quick question. When Madeira was talking about the the giant. She mentioned like them like moving around every 10 years, was it? Kind of. So as soon as this call started, or at least at this moment, Taz has connected everybody. And it's gonna last for 2 hours.
Great.
And in your heads, Taz will say, there is a giantess that is active once more in the wastes as well.
Hot.
A follower of an old god of some sort.
Which one?
You just kind of feel a shrug in your head.
What does this giantess look like? Do you know?
Why do you know about this?
Since they're having this conversation,
Yeah.
Matthias is going
Double
to
feedback.
Matthias
Now
is
you're
gonna
doing
start like he's gonna start reading what he's written, just like giving a report top to bottom.
Oh.
And I think that they've sent information before, but he's kind of recovering everything while they talk, because we can't just sit here in silence staring at each other through a portal. That's
I would
crazy.
like to.
Yes. No.
I think Baden's voice chips in.
Yeah.
Has anybody noticed the moon? It's been full for far too long. As everybody's noticed, right? Has anything been connected to that?
The Uaran Albaran, Melkia, kind of goes, I have been very interested in following the movements of the moon. And then a few, I think it's Plutarch Morgan kind of scoffs at her. Like,
Fucking Morgan.
astrology and astrological sciences, as far as we've seen, have no connection to movements of the wild. Although certain creatures do rely on its movements, and that does empower them, we've seen plenty of other forces entirely unaffected.
But for an
is it-
entire body in the sky to stay longer than it should, surely that should affect the world.
It happens sometimes.
At the time that everything else seems to be messing up.
Side of the realm of possibility.
I think Owesh actually scoffs a little bit as Plutarch Morgan dismisses this, so like just kind of laughs and then has to cover their mouth and then says, "Excellent point."
To me?
No, to very
to them.
sarcastically to the Plutarch.
Very sad. Okay, cool. Yeah, just Rhyme has a second of.
Matthias, you begin to give your report. You see Siren seems to be taking notes. A few other of them are paying attention. Some of them are pulled away again. It looks like Merle actually kind of gives like a, not really a wave as a knock up, but like a nod. And then has to exit.
Boop boop.
Boop boop boop.
If you all wanted to continue having that conversation, I didn't mean
It's
to
the
distract
it's the
from
bubble
it.
of the soup. Boop.
Yeah.
When they leave.
I don't know what Taz said when Kara was like, "How do you know?"
Taz begins to describe the giantess, and does not answer Kiara's questions.
As soon as you're done describing it, Kiara's a dog with a bone. She asks again. Yes, but Daz, how do you know?
I made a bargain with the hag.
Oh, you did?
He'll nod before like yes, realizing like we're not sharing this convo right now with the rest.
Rude.
And as a part of this bargain, you were told about this giantess?
As a part of this bargain, I know where this giantess is at all times.
Finish your report, Matthias, and there's no like applause, but there are some satisfied nods of people who are pleased with your note taking and general conduct. You get a good job.
I get
kid.
gold star.
You get a gold star.
You get an
Gold
A
star.
plus in note taking.
Yay!
With note taking.
Right on the forehead.
And a little bit of general chatter back and forth. Like they're asking some clarifying questions. We'll ask for a little bit more of a description of the Rot Father. This Leviathan under the ocean seems to interest the Yogor. The Skull. I don't have we ever really figured out Atolian. Atolian, that's what it is. The Atolian mage is pretty interested in some of the underwater things. And
I'm pushing Barden's sketchbook to Matthias so he can show the pictures that they've drawn. Like,
get a little presentation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really.
they're
It's,
good
looking over the
pictures. She's
cauldron.
proud.
Which is great. And then, of course, the oil is notable to many of them. The oil of the wastes is a known commodity, right? Because it, like, in its more extreme forms, it's very dangerous. But there's also just like a big oil export here. There's like whale fat and oil that's used as a power source. It is most often used in Valkyrie. It is kind of like a premium export that hasn't spread in a lot of places because it's too dangerous to handle.
I think that Matthias is like turning over in his head this entire time they're interacting. He's turning it over in his head. Should I tell them about the assassin and coming back to life and like seeing these things? And I think he just is like, no, gotta keep it close to the chest. Because he doesn't want to. There are lots of trends happening and there's lots of wild stuff happening, and he does not want to intimate that he himself could potentially be swayed by the events that are occurring. So is going to not say anything.
Don't worry,
about it.
Fulcrum Expedition. I'm so stable.
I'm very
so
normal.
mentally healthy.
I'm really, really normal. Nothing's wrong with me.
And listen, a big part of what they are trying to figure out, right, is how to categorize these different events.
Yeah.
Most people don't. But as academics who've been tracking them, they do. So when Barton was like, are they fiendish? Are they demonic? Is this necromancy? Is this summoning? Like, is this just monstrosities and aberrations? Like, you know, they have the ability to categorize that. Like, you know, Siren has the monster manual. Everyone else is like, scary creature.
Yes.
That's kind of the vibe. So
Got it.
some of them might not be suspicious of that. Some of them might be super suspicious of it. You just wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Complete your report and kind of realize that it's been a little bit longer. Like the other cauldron is bubbled down a little bit and it's getting really thick around the roots.
Save it.
Your report is appreciated, Valerian. And send our regards to the rest of your crew. I think it apt if you turn your eyes to look down and other issues of missing creatures. As Doran said, local knowledges as well. And anything related to weather phenomenon, ice melting as well. I know that's not always as interesting, but with the rising waters, it is significant enough to us.
Of course. We will arrive tomorrow at the Order and figure out our trajectory from there.
You will come to my office, Valerian, once you've arrived.
He
That's
does, like, I'm sure there's a salute that they have. He does a little salute.
Yeah.
Probably something like...
And the cry fades.
Mm-hmm. I think as the scry fades, Oish turns to Rhyme and says, the Plutarchs have always been especially dismissive of the concerns that they would consider more important to the, less esoteric, more important to the layman, the farmer, the tradesman.
Terribly foolish.
I wouldn't try to convince them of anything.
Well, that's what we have Siren for. He's rather charming, and he can have his way sometimes. But it's good at least to have all the opinions, isn't it? Ridiculous.
Some opinions.
Question for you guys. Now, Nee was here eating with you at the table. Did you ask her to step to the side? Was it okay if she just listened in? You would have probably let her know beforehand. So, what do you think?
I'm fine with her being there as long as everybody else is fine with her being there. I wouldn't want her to be in view.
No, she wouldn't. No.
And she wouldn't be actually because she also
she can't be seen. Right?
Yeah. But that's great because I actually, after Oish says that, does turn to Neve and say, "How did you enjoy your first official meeting?"
I knew her.
Who?
Lady Virtus.
Is that Morgan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what did Neve say?
Neve knows Plutarch Morgan. One of the members of Fulcrum.
Well, Simon's a Plutarch too, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
She does business with grandfather sometimes.
Yes.
Seemed like an interesting group of people. I don't really know any of them, but wild stuff is pretty scary. Neve seems to be kind of chewing it over, the grown-ups just had a really intense conversation, and she seemed excited to hear about what you guys have done. Sounds like she was listening closer to Matthias's report than some of the Fulcrum members were.
Hell yeah.
But she's doing that like
Strange Hungers.
I'm a teenager listening and processing kind of.
Yeah. They're not expecting anything huge from her, but just want to, check in.
Yeah. And the pirates, I do know that there have been more pirates, obviously.
Right.
Well.
I mean, but they're not
You're
just
totally
popping up out of
normal.
nowhere, right?
No. Well, Throck says people get hungry and desperate, and trade routes have been a little more protected recently. The Plutarchs have stepped up. Some guards hired more mercenaries, so you just see people a little more willing to fight dirty.
Asha would say much the same. Would agree.
No, I actually think that's a kind of nice place to leave us for today, if that's all right, with chewing on that information. You all finish your supper.
I want to get to the fucking order. I want my armor.
I'm also gonna come next time with some fun armor options and little
Oh yeah.
things to buy.
Can we do our shopping after?
Yeah, we'll do some
shopping.
Do some shopping, Froggy.
Do a little shopping.
That will be great. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I know our time was a little different, and of course my players were very sweet to wait for me. So thank you so much for watching. Our map is courtesy of One More Multiverse. I built that at midnight last night. Did not finish it.
Alex.
And our music is from Soundtail. Thank you very much to Soundtail. You can find previous episodes of Strange Hungers on our YouTube channel, Total Party Kiss. We've also got some awesome shows out right now. Our streaming schedule is packed. We've got Tragedy of Theologian. We've got Warren Guard. We've got Finding Ithaca. So we have previous episodes of all of these shows up and more exciting things coming out. So thank you so much for supporting Total Party Kiss. We've got a great group of people, and we appreciate every comment, every time you watch us live, every time you go back and watch a YouTube video. It It's really great. Yeah, Shan.
Also, keep an eye out for Warrengard on Backer-Kit. I believe it's coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's really I've done a little bit of art for it, and everyone who works on it is amazing, and the game itself is very cool. So if you want to be a dragon rider and have a baby dragon and ride a dragon, you do that. It's great.
Yeah.
It's the good stuff.
Hell yeah. Most likely we will see you next week, although again, stay posted to our Twitter and our Instagram for more information.
Probably
Thank you
not
for
as much.
watching.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.